Here's what's coming up in today's Frontline compilation. A lone Russian sits motionless as an FPV drone hovers a breath away. What unfolds raises hard questions about surrender on a drone-ridden battlefield. Helmet cam shows a soldier drop a modified 120mm round into a basement hideout. Wait for the delayed thump that follows. A few Russian soldiers fire their rifles at a thermite drone overhead, inviting the question of whether burst after burst will change anything. FPV units lie low beside a trail until boots crunch past. The launch that follows shows how patience turns open ground into a sprung trap. This is real footage, no effects, just raw moments from the battlefield. Subscribe to stay updated on every Frontline report and stick around to see it all unfold. Let's get into it. A drone spots a Russian buk parked near cover and sends the grid to a nearby Ukrainian unit. Moments later, an artillery round hits the vehicle, and the frame fills with fragments and debris. Metal panels flip free and bounce in the dust while the drone holds position above the scene. Helmet cam footage from Ukrainian intelligence's ground branch shows various clips of assault teams in combat with Russian troops, gunfire constant as they advance. The soldiers clear bunkers and shelters by firing into entrances, then a grenade is thrown and the camera follows the blast. After the explosions, a few bodies are shown near the positions. The final clip shows a Russian with his hands up, captured by the Ukrainian assault team. The sequence ends on the surrender. Footage from the Ukrainian 110th Territorial Defense Forces Brigade shows an FPV strike against a Russian BM-21 Grad multiple launch rocket system. The launcher appears fully deployed and ready to fire when it is discovered and hit. After impact, rockets begin launching in different directions as the strike sets them off. The scene shows rockets arcing away without control. Then the area fills with white and grey smoke for several seconds. A compilation of recent FPV drone strikes opens with a drone lying low until a vehicle appears. Then it rises, closes the distance, and impacts the vehicle. Footage follows, showing ambush attacks on Ukrainian vehicles presented as targets of opportunity. According to the source, most strikes occur in the Dnipropetrovsk region. More clips show FPV hits on Ukrainian vehicles from different angles. One segment shows an FPV strike against an abandoned tank. Another shows a drone scouting a bunker before deciding to attack it. The video ends with a final hit on a vehicle, and the camera holds on the burning wreck. GoPro footage released by Ukrainian sources shows a group of infantrymen operating under the vague unit name Tactical Operations Group while conducting combat operations in the Soledar region of Ukraine. The video follows this TOG-labeled element through the fighting. Rumors circulating online point toward the group being a foreign volunteer unit. The same clips show the unit using a logo that appears to match the 3rd Battalion, 9th Company of the Ukrainian 44th Mechanized Brigade. The emblem slightly modified to include TOG at the bottom. Footage reportedly shows multiple JDAM strikes carried out by Ukrainian F-16s against Russian hardpoints in the vicinity of Kamyanska in Ukraine's southern Zaporizhzhia region. The exact nature of the targets is not shown in the edit. The source notes that expending JDAMs suggests priority objectives such as command structures, high-density troop formations, or other assets, but this is not confirmed on screen. The video presents successive strikes against the same area and ends without further context. The aircraft are identified as Ukrainian F-16 and the location as near Kamyansky. Overhead drone and FPV bodycam footage shows a Ukrainian raid on a Russian trench and bunker. A tracked APC breaks through a tree line and stops on the position. The position looks occupied, but the advance is largely unopposed. No indirect fire or rockets are seen, and little small arms fire is heard. Soldiers with M4 pattern rifles dismount and begin clearing the trench while others focus on the bunker. Some fire comes from the bunker and possibly an adjacent position. The team remounts and withdraws. As they leave, the bunker explodes. GoPro footage released by Ukrainian forces shows a soldier throwing a modified 120mm mortar round into a basement where Russian troops are located. A separate drone view of the same action was also released, providing two perspectives of the strike. The round appears fitted with a grenade time fuse, a method previously seen on both sides with other munitions. In this use, the modification turns the mortar round into a large hand grenade suited to basement spaces. The edit centers on the throw and the delayed detonation from above and at ground level. Footage from the Ukrainian Pomsta Brigade shows strikes on critical Russian equipment around Kupiansk. Targets listed include multiple launch rocket systems, tanks, armored fighting vehicles, artillery, electronic warfare equipment, and a drone station. The release frames the hits as losses that will reduce the local Russian unit's ability to conduct offensive side operations in the area. The clips move quickly between impacts without extended aftermath, emphasizing the variety of systems engaged. The location is identified as the Kupiansk vicinity, and the strikes are attributed to the Pomsta Brigade. FPV footage released by the Russian KVN drone unit shows two strikes in the Kharkiv region. The first segment targets a pickup truck that has a cover over the bed. The second strike is described as hitting a forward drone control station. The release identifies both actions as occurring in Kharkiv Oblast and attributes the footage to KVN. No additional context beyond the target descriptions is provided in the edit. The clips are presented from the attacker's view, showing the approach, impact, and immediate aftermath for each target. An edit from Ukraine's 225th Separate Assault Regiment compiles drone strikes against Russian infantry and equipment in the Sumy region. The clips identify engagements with the Russian 30th Motorized Rifle Regiment, the 40th and 155th Separate Guards Naval Infantry Brigades, and airborne units from the 106th and 76th Divisions. The footage stays focused on the strikes and immediate effects. Ukrainian drone operators adapt their tactics to catch a Russian patrol by surprise. Several FPV drones lie concealed in the grass beside a trail, engines ready but unseen. When a Russian infantry fire team walks past, the drones launch and rush the soldiers one after another. Each target has only seconds to react, with little chance to find cover or fire back before impact. The sequence repeats along the path until the team is broken apart. Ukrainian drone footage shows Russian dismounted troops taking casualties due to persistent drone attacks. Many clips show drones striking bunkers and shelters where Russian troops try to hide. After a few clips, a Russian soldier in an open field fires at a drone, is hit, and lies down. More clips follow of drones hitting shelters and bunker entrances. At the end, a Russian squad takes subterranean cover through a manhole, then climbs back out, hoping the drones would not spot them. Once they are exposed, a bomb drone targets one of the squad member. Clips show Ukrainian loitering drones tracking Russian troops back to bases and fighting positions, then striking. Each segment follows the same method. Wait overhead or nearby, watch the movement into a doorway, dugout or small compound, then drop on target. The purpose is timing, staying on station until the right moment. The edit keeps the focus on that pattern from start to finish. It closes with a hit at the destination and the camera holds for a moment on the impact. Video from Ukrainian drone operators focuses on one Russian soldier who survives 3 separate attempts to kill him. The first munition lands behind him and fails to explode. He picks it up and throws it away. A second lands directly on top of him, and he manages to toss it down past his feet before it detonates. The third lands too far to do damage. The clip is presented as proof that chance can trump intent in combat, the luckiest soldier label earned across those 3 near misses. Footage, lightly shot on a phone, shows Russian soldiers trying to shoot down a Ukrainian thermite drone. The drone appears to be attempting to burn a storage cache inside a roofless building. The soldiers fire automatic bursts at the drone, but the fire is ineffective. The clip stays on the building and the drone as the attempts continue. GoPro footage from Ukrainian sources shows a UB-16 57mm rocket launcher, normally mounted on a helicopter, attached to a remote-controlled ground drone and used as an improvised MLRS. The clip focuses on the launcher fixed to the ground platform, and the firing sequence as rockets are rippled toward enemy positions. Russian naval infantry attempt an amphibious raid on a Dnipro River island near Kherson. Ukrainian artillery answers with 155mm DPIC rounds as the raiders try to gain a foothold. One Russian's appeal for mercy is not heeded as the bombardment continues. Drone drop munitions, hit the remaining soldiers and eliminate stragglers. The edit presents the sequence from contact to collapse under fire, showing artillery first and drones second as the raid fails on the island. Footage released by Ukrainian sources shows a seated Russian soldier as an explosive FPV drone hovers in front of him for several seconds, then rams into his head. The clip sparked wide debate online, with some calling it a war crime because the soldier does not appear to be an active threat. The accompanying discussion notes key points. Surrender must be clearly communicated and acknowledged. Drones themselves cannot accept surrender. Footage released by the Ukrainian border guards shows a Croatian RAK SA-12 being used to hit Russian positions near Kostiantynivka. The video includes a sequence showing missile impacts on the targeted areas. After the strike, Ukrainian troops returned to the vehicle and moved to a different position to launch another attack. No further context was released with it. Footage reportedly from fighting around Bakhmut shows Wagner PMC fighters pinned in the open as indirect fire pummels their position. Bakhmut is described as strategically important because it lies on the main road linking Sloviansk to Kramatorsk. The sequence ends with a couple of troops running and changing their positions after the attack. Footage from the Ukrainian 60th Mechanized Brigade shows a failed Russian offensive attempt. Two armored personnel carriers move in to assault and are rapidly knocked out by strikes. The sequence follows as drones hunt down the scattered troops and end the attack. Footage from the Ukrainian 68th Jaeger Brigade shows soldiers traveling inside an extensive anti-drones net when they find a deer fawn entangled in the mesh. The vehicle stops, a soldier uses a knife to free the animal, and the camera stays on the work until the last strands are cut. Fiber optic drone footage released by Russian sources shows the alleged destruction of a Polish-made AHS Crab. The strike is enabled by a small gap in the protective netting at the front of the vehicle, which lets the drone get inside the vehicle's protective bunker. The clip centers on that approach and the resulting hit, presenting the damage as the outcome of the net gap rather than a direct top-down strike through intact cover. Helmet cam footage follows a Ukrainian rocketeer searching for a firing spot. He picks a position and runs to it. He shoulders the launcher and holds for a while to line up the shot, then fires a rocket into the targeted area. After the shot, he turns and runs back the way he came. The next clip shows him running with his team as they move to a new position. Thanks for sticking with us through today's unfiltered frontline footage. This is M6 Archive, always first on the front lines. Hit subscribe and share if you want more.